my booty for the week. Looks like the goose that laid the golden egg, ladies and gents. And I'm a digging this gold. Today we're going to be talking about the V3 Flip by V3 Tronics. And she happens to be the 24 karat Hard D gold plated special edition. And she's a beaut, I tell you. She's a beaut. Hotter than Salma Hayek dancing on a waffle iron. But how does she vape? And let me tell you what, boys and girls, she hits and she hits hard, right up there with the Pegasus. That's all going to be dependent on the atomizer you have on here, though. For example, I've got the Enigma on here. Got a review coming. The build I have in here is a dual 24 gauge micro coil, and it's reading at 0.4 ohms. Pro number one, the CNC machining. The machining is unlike any other machined art that I've seen ever on a device. That's variable voltage, variable wattage, any other mechanical mod, incredible quality. Absolutely just incredible. 2, the 24 karat Hard D gold plating. Super durable. I've had this thing going on like a month now, and it looks the exact same as when I first received it. But that's what gold plating is. You get what you pay for. The contacts, okay, the contacts are 24 karat Hard D gold plated brass. And not only are they super conductive, but super durable. For example, I've got this Enigma on here, and it is with this 0.4 ohm build. 0.4 ohm build, sub-ohming it. The voltage drop is 0.1. That's lower than the Pegasus. On the Pegasus, anything that I did lower than sub-ohming, 0.8, 0.7, 0.6, 0.4, the voltage drop on the Pegasus would be around 0.2. This is 0.1! Another great thing about this is that the 510 connection, it's got this Delrin collar. All this I'm going to show you guys in the close-ups. Tim is the owner of V3 Tronics. Within the next week, he's going to be offering 2 different pins. The one I have in here right now is the solid pin. It's adjustable and solid at the same time. The other option, which other V3 Flip owners out there, you guys watching right now, you probably have the, well, you definitely have the floating pin. Okay, it's got that spring in there. You got 2 options within the next week or so. The solid or the floating. And both those I'll show you guys in the close-ups. Threads on this device are some of the smoothest, cleanest threads that I've ever seen on a mechanical mod, period. That being said, every device that I own, screws on there, sits flush. Oh yeah. Here's another biggie for you. It's got this 510 threaded ring, okay? And that ring sits inside this flower cap. All this, I'm gonna show you guys in the close-ups. But the beauty of that ring, okay? First of all, the atomizer screw, all of your devices screw into that ring, which sits in that flower cap. You can pop that ring out. All other devices that I've seen, the 510 connection is permanently part of that device or those devices. And let's say you strip it, you're screwed. SOL. Not with this one. Let's say you strip the ring, pop it out, put another one in, you're good to go. That's nuts as butts! You can run this thing in 18500 mode, 18500 plus the kick mode, 18650 mode, or 18650 plus the kick mode. You got these 2 smaller tubes that are threaded on each end, and how it works is you flip those tubes to adjust to whichever battery configuration you're going for. One of my favorite parts of this device is the firing switch. Okay, it's unlike any other switch that I've used to date. Most mech mods out there that have a bottom firing switch, it's threaded on there. So to lock it, you turn to the right. Typically, to unlock it, you turn to the left. Not with this one. It's got a ball bearing system. A quarter turn to the left, unlocks it. A quarter turn to the right, locks it. Smooth and easy, baby. Customer service, top notch. You send them an email, they will get back to you within the same business day. I talked to Tim over the phone, super nice cat. All of my friends that own a V3 Flip or have purchased a 50 cal, they've had the same experiences. They sent them emails, they get back to them within the same business day. Booyah! The only con that I could come up with is that this is a mechanical mod, and with all mechanical mods, you're going to be dealing with battery drop-off on a regular basis. I've got a 0.4 ohm build in this RDA with a freshly charged battery, and I could go about an hour and a half before I start to notice a battery drop-off. That's a good 45 minutes longer than most other mechanical mods that I own. Alrighty, so here is the V3 Tronics Flip, all broken down for you. This is actually the special edition. It's the 24 karat Hard D gold plating edition. First thing I'm going to start off with is the tube. And look at this thing. You got your Fighting Lions on each side. The V3 logo, V3 Tronics. You got your vent holes for battery venting. And I'll tell you what, quality, this is by far the best quality mechanical mod that I own, that I've reviewed, period. The plating, the gold plating is mint. The 3D CNC machining on this tube is crazy insane. I mean, the machining on the rest of this device is insane. Top notch. Threads, buttery smooth, all across the board on this whole device. There's the tube, flawless. Haven't even cleaned this thing one bit. The way this came was just like this, okay? It's spotless inside there, spotless on the outside. Really nothing but great things to say about this tube and the rest of this device. Before I go over the 510 connection cap and the firing pin, I'm going to go over these three parts, the center portion of this device, and why they call this thing the flip. You have these two smaller tubes. One tube screws onto one side of the center tube. The other tube screws onto the other side of this center tube. 3.5 twists per tube, and you have this center portion of the V3 flip assembled. And the reason why they call this thing the flip is because you can flip these two tubes to support different battery modes. Oh yeah! So right now, you see how those divots, see the divots on this side and the divots on this side? If those divots are facing each other, just like they are now, that means that we're running it in 18650 plus the kick mode. Now let's say we wanted to run it in regular old 18650 mode. All we're going to want to do is take this top tube, unscrew it, flip it, and boom. My preferred mode, regular old 18650 mode. Now let's say we wanted to run it in 18500 mode. All we're going to want to do is take this bottom tube off and flip it. Boom, 18500 mode. Now, back to those divots. So in regular old 18500 mode, the divots are going to be facing the opposite direction, okay? Now let's say we wanted to run it in 18500 plus kick mode. All we're going to want to do is take this top tube off, flip it, $18,500 plus kick mode. And as you can see, these divots, the bottom tube, the divots are facing to the left, as well as the top tube, the divots are facing to the left. Back to regular old 18650 mode, my preferred mode. See these divots? The divots are both facing to the right. So if you were to stand it up straight, both those divots would be facing north. See how the vent holes aren't showing? Well, that's not a problem because there's an actual space right here, so the batteries, if they do vent, it'll be okay. They can vent, air can still pass through there, okay? Okay, so now I want to talk about this flower ring cap. This is where your 510 connection is. This is where your devices screw onto the 510 connection. And as you can see, you've got these slots right here for bottom airflow devices like your K-Funds, your Clearmiser tanks, etc. Absolutely gorgeous. These threads are buttery smooth. And here is your Delrin collar, which we'll go over in a second. You actually get two options. So I talked to Tim, the manufacturer of this device. He actually sent me two options. When I ordered this device, it only came with one option as far as adjustable pin. It came with a floating pin, which I'll show you guys in a second. This is a solid pin. So the way it works is, just like any other mechanical mod, you've got your pin down here. And these pins are 24 karat hard D gold plated brass. And how this works, unscrew the Delrin collar, and inside this collar is a user replacement 510 threading ring. Okay, we'll go over that in a second. So back to the adjustable pin. This is the solid pin that Tim sent me, and the pin unscrews just like this. Okay, so it's not floating Like most of you guys out there that own a flip, you have a pin that's floating, and I'll show you guys that in a second. But you have this solid pin screwed into the collar just like this. Okay, let's go ahead and screw her all the way in. And the collar is threaded. Go ahead and screw it back into the top cap. You want to make sure that you screw this collar completely tight, as far as it'll go. And when you adjust whichever atomizer you have on here, you want to make sure you do not adjust this collar, okay? The collar has nothing to do with adjusting the pin. To adjust the pin, and like I said, this is the solid pin, you're going to be turning this portion of the pin to the left. Okay, so as I turn that to the left, that pin drops, and that's the adjustable pin. And then to adjust to the battery, you adjust this screw, which is screwed into the adjustable pin. And that's how it works. This screw does come out of the adjustable pin, like so. Go ahead and take this collar out, and I'm going to show you the other version that came with this device when I purchased it. But before we do that, I'm going to show you the user replacement 510 threading ring, which is in here. And how this works is the ring comes out just like that. Okay, so there's no 510 threading once you take that ring out, because the 510 threading is the ring. All of your devices screw in to this ring. Once the ring is placed back into the cap, the collar with the adjustable pin or floating pin screws in, tightens down that ring, and then you're able to screw your devices onto the cap. That's how it works. So if you ever strip the 510 threads, all you gotta do is take it out and replace it with a new one. Easy peasy, what a sleazy. And that's great because you're not risking damaging the device. Most devices, the threads are permanently part of the device. So if you were to strip those threads on any other device, you're screwed. This one, you have options. Here is the other collar and floating 510 connection pin that this came with when I purchased it. And floating, okay, it's got a spring in there. You've got this little screw, and that's what you adjust to the battery you have in your device. To get this out, you just turn to the left. And as you can see, it's spring loaded. There's the pin. Pull that out. You've got this little Delrin piece which the spring sits on. So those four parts make up your 510 connection pin. You just insert it back in there. Pop the connection on there, and as you can see, that's how it works. Screw it back into the collar, and voila. So once I have my user replacement 510 threading ring in there, I'm just going to go ahead and screw the collar in just like the other one. Make sure it's screwed in all the way, and any device that I screw onto this 510 connection, it's going to sit flush every time because of this floating pin. And once I screw on the atomizer to this connection, all I have to do is adjust this to whichever battery I have in the device. Now onto the firing pin, and this is another feature of this device. Probably my favorite feature out of all of them. Okay, I love the flip feature, but this takes the cake in my opinion. Most other mechanical mod, they're threaded. You thread them up to fire it. You thread them down to lock it. With this one, no hassle. It's got a ball bearing system in there, and so how it works is right now it's locked. To unlock it, all you do is turn this ring down here. Boom. Okay? It's unlocked. To lock it, boom. To unlock it, turn to the left. To lock it, turn to the right. And these grooves right here, you know when it's unlocked because the grooves down on this lower ring line up with the grooves on the upper ring. Love this firing button. Favorite feature on this device, just so easy. But you got your O-ring insulator right there. Again, threads buttery smooth. On the bottom, you got the V3 logo with the serial number. Made in the old US of A. In the whole USA. Today I'm going to be using the Patriot RDA, an authentic Patriot RDA. Going to be screwing it onto this 510 connection. And I am using a solid pin. Make sure she sits flush. Booyah. And then what I'm going to be doing is screwing this top screw in until it makes connection with this RDA. Okay, I'm going to leave this pin down here alone, and if it's too tight, we'll go ahead and screw this sucker in. Going to be running it in 18650 mode. Pop that sucker in there. Oh, and as you see, it's too long, so what we're going to have to do is screw this in all the way. And there you have it. She's sitting flush and looking a beaut. So that is the V3 Flip. Where did I purchase this thing? From a company called v3tronics.com. Here's a link. I'll have a link in the description as well. This device, oh buddy, expensive. I'm gonna tell you right now, $349.99. But is it worth it? Hell yeah! It's definitely worth it, guys. It's the most efficient mechanical mod that I own. And on top of that, this thing looks the tits all the way around. So that is my take on the special edition V3 Flip. This is Rip Trippers, and remember, smoking is dead, vaping is the future, and the future is now.